doing?
Where are you going?
Sorry, I'm in a car on my way to San Diego Comic-Con, so it's like I gotta do the interview though.
You're going to San Diego. That's funny.
Yeah. To start though, I love that this movie is, bringing back the idea of duels, but doing it with these modern guys, and they're learning from Patrick Warburton, who is just being his little kooky self. For you guys, what was the fun of getting to navigate the more like stereotypical duel elements with these two modern guys who are like just trying to navigate their friendship at the same time?
Go ahead, Dylan.
Okay. I mean, that's really the fun of the movie, right? And it's even our tagline, which is modern problems, historic solutions, right? I think the fun of the movie is the dedication to honor and righting the wrong that happened in this. And then subsequently, everything that comes from that about living up to it and the idea of like the honor or the masculinity, neither here nor there, whether it's toxic or positive. I think that's what the movie begs those questions from the audience. And I think that's why it's been so fun to see the fan reactions, because everyone kind of walks out with a different opinion at the end of it. And we've heard bickering in the audiences about it too, which is why it's so nice.
Yeah, and I think that the juxtaposition of kind of you know, an old staple in the modern context is what makes it so fascinating, because it does kind of beg the questions, as Dylan said, about what's worth keeping, what works and what doesn't. And I don't know. I happen to like what we made here.
Yeah, well, and I talked to the Raiders yesterday, and they were talking about how they sent it to you guys as just like friends, and we're like, "What do you think about this?" And you guys were like, "Yeah, we're in." How was it kind of working on this movie with people and like growing these characters? Like, did you guys get to have more of an input in where you think they would go, or was it more just kind of like you wanted to honor what they had already written?
And working with people that you uh, consider dear friends and that you've known for a long time beforehand, um, sometimes I've heard from others it can be more difficult. Sometimes it can facilitate. The comfort makes it much easier to have creative conversations. For me, it was only positive. I had some concerns that maybe it would, change the nature of the long-standing friendship, just running a new gauntlet together, almost speaking a different language. But in this case, everyone had such a clear idea of what this film was supposed to be and why it was worth making. Um, Even though naturally a film changes so much along the road to completion, but it did feel, it felt to me like a bunch of really good friends, people who love each other, coming together on a united vision. And so perhaps we got lucky in that sense. But I like to think it's just because everyone is so talented.
Yeah, and similarly, I will say that having a good script makes everything easier as an actor too. It takes a lot of the inherent legwork out of the job for you. Funny enough, this is why when you're watching a movie from a director who you think is really good, or a writer who you think is really good, all the acting seems better too.
Mm-hmm.
Because subsequently it just takes a lot of the legwork out. It's easier to get there to the emotions that you need to get. So in the case of the duel, there was already so much there that was so good. I don't think that we really needed uh, to blow it up into something that it didn't need to be. Everybody knowing what it kind of was in part due to them being good writers. But at the same time, Luke and Justin came to Callan and I particularly because we're fans of history, and we kind of know the feelings of rising to the occasion, and we're intimate with the understanding of where that kind of honor and masculinity and all of these themes play in. And so, of course, we were naturally inclined to just jump right in.
Yeah, I do love too the idea of like, all right, we're gonna go duel, and then you go, and like I said, you see Patrick Warburton. Do you guys think like, okay, if I was going to go learn something from a figure, what actor would play like who you would learn it from? Because like I would happily learn whatever he wanted to teach me if it was Patrick Warburton myself. But do you guys have somebody that you're like, yeah, I would learn from that guy?
I mean, yeah, Patrick was the perfect paragon in that sense. But if you're looking for a different answer, I happen to be a very big fan of Sir Anthony Hopkins. And if I were to magic a movie into existence, or any scenario in which I was to learn from someone, I would gladly take lessons from him. He seems the perfect synthesis of skill and silliness that I value in a man.
Yeah, similarly, I mean, I'm huge David Lynch fan. I think he could tell me anything and I would hold on to it. I love his takes on virtually everything. Like I watch his weather reports. I do the whole thing. I'm deep Lynch head. So I think him both in the acting and just being on set sphere, I think he's got a lot of interesting things to say. And whether or not it even applies to me, I think I would hold on to what he told me. So
Perfect people to learn from. But I also, you know, it's not, it's weird because I don't want to call it a bro movie. It's not, but it is about these two dudes who, instead of like talking through their problems, are like, I'm gonna take it to the absolute extreme reaction. And so when you guys are playing it, playing characters who do like clearly care about each other because they're going to these extreme lengths to kind of fight, how do you navigate working together and making that relationship so much stronger on screen?
I feel like every emotion as an actor is more easily accessible if you are comfortable with each other and fond of each other as people. And I know that you know, Dylan doesn't necessarily feel this way, but I get a little more nervous when I'm on set with people that I love and respect. But in the end, that ends up, I think, helping me slough off some of the uh, like baked in choices that I might otherwise make, and so in the end, it was kind of more fun for me and a more lively experience internally. So yeah, it was, if anything, easier to access those places that I, as Callan, don't normally go to.
yeah, and kind of platforming off of what Callan said, I'm genuinely sick of Callan McAuliffe. I think he is just so annoying. His accent, his shiny forehead, his propensity to take 3 showers a day and eat. Oh my God.
Who counted?
Um, I think it's really, really annoying, and I think it plays on screen. I want to viciously attack him at every given moment. No, I completely agree. When you're genuinely friends with someone, the emotions, whether they be bad or good on screen of your characters, is a lot easier to channel. And I think that was a very clever decision of our writer directors to put us all four of the lead boys in a house together while we shot this. That made it a lot easier to build that chemistry on set. But I will also say chemistry shouldn't be hard. It like this is something I hear a lot. Like wow, you had such great chemistry. On if you're like two nice people, chemistry should be easy to reach as long as you're discussing. If it's when it's not, and it's really obvious, it has to be like, oh, these people really don't fuck with each other.
Yeah, something went devastatingly wrong there. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
Like, oh, you just suck. Cool.
Yeah.
Cool,
So you
cool.
guys really dislike each other and you do not want to do a kissing scene. I can see it.
Well, I like what you just said about the house because there was another movie that was all about boys and like male energy, and they also, when I interviewed them, talked about they all lived in a house together, and that's kind of what helped them. When are in that situation, what is it like when you first go in there? Are you like very nervous about like, well, I'm about to live with people for an extended period of time, or are you just excited to have that part of your process kind of already built in?
I practiced holding on to the soap every night before went into the house. No, it was only going to be one of my favorite aspects of ensemble movies is arriving at that point of familiarity where it starts to feel like you're all kind of on a ridiculous adventure together. And turning up to work begins to feel like turning up almost to play. That's when it's kind of when acting or when ensemble movies are at their best. And the notion that we'd be staying in a house together, especially during this strange, period for the world that was COVID, it just made it more exciting because I knew it was going to happen sooner, if not instantly.
Yeah. When I like that these kind of comedies are coming back because I feel like there was like a short period of time where we stopped making like men not talking to each other comedies. And I do think they're very fun to unpack in whatever different way we want to. For you guys, what was the most exciting part of a story like this, where it is at its core, like we talked about, these two dudes who are taking everything to the extreme?
I mean, I will say this is just a bit of an aside, but and whether for right or wrong, I think that we were lacking those comedies for a while because society was expressly telling men they're not allowed to be funny right now. So I will, I will say that. Um, and it's no surprise to me that once the kind of borders got loosened and everyone was a little more equitable and things seemed very extreme for a moment and then it kind of washed away and now it's ebbing and flowing and we found a good place in the middle. I think these kind of movies are going to become more common. I've described this movie a little bit as like a love story between friends. I think this is actually weirdly a love story. It's a dark comedy, but it's a love story of friendship. And I am personally, for one, I'm really happy to see these kinds of things come back. I think humor was at a stagnation for a while. And it's also because I think people were just being less funny for a while. And now that those are open again, I think the dialogue has changed. These projects are always in the forefront of my mind. So I'm really happy that people can watch this and laugh and also have the dialogue, which I think this movie does it really well, which is like it addresses some of the reasons why people weren't funny for a while. It talks about like men not feeling certain ways. And it doesn't present it in either a good or bad light, right? It presents it as it is. And the people who walk away in the theaters all have discussions about it, which I find so gratifying as both an actor and a member of the crew in this regard. So
Yeah, the fact that the movie kind of explored, all of the constituents of masculinity, both terrific and toxic, was what was appealing to me, and I think I think it walks that line pretty neatly. And given the conversations that people are having after seeing it, and some of the feedback we've heard, um, I think we were successful in opening a door to that conversation.
I 100% agree. And thank you guys so much for talking with me today. I really appreciate it. And I can't wait for everyone else to get to see the duel.
thank you very much.